They say a fighter's legacy is defined by their most unforgettable moments. And for Ilia El Matador Topuria, his climb to the top of the MMA world has been paved with moments that have left fans, fighters, and pundits absolutely speechless. From being a relatively unknown prospect, he has meticulously crafted a persona of unshakable confidence, backed by a perfect, undefeated record. But the story of his rise isn't just about winning. It's about the way he won.
He's not just a fighter, he's a phenomenon. His brutal knockouts, his calculated domination, and his fiery calls-outs have all contributed to his meteoric ascent. We're talking about a man who promised to do what no one else could, and then delivered on that promise with the force that sent shockwaves through the sport's most dominant division. This is a look back at the moments that truly made the world take notice. From a shocking comeback that proved his heart and chin were forged in steel, to a title-winning punch that ended an era of greatness. Today we are counting down the 5 shocking moments that made Ilia Topuria the talk of the MMA world. Get ready to relive the punches, the pressure, and the pure power that has established El Matador as one of the most dangerous and captivating stars in combat sports today. Topuria's UFC debut domination. For any fighter stepping into the UFC octagon for the very first time, the pressure is immense. The bright lights, the roaring crowd, and the feeling that your entire career is on the line, it's enough to make even the most seasoned veteran crumble. But for a young, undefeated prospect named Ilia Topuria, his debut was a chance to prove that all the hype was real. Ilia Topuria made his highly anticipated UFC debut against fellow promising featherweight Youssef Zalal in 2020. At the time, Zalal was a tough, slick striker who was on a 3-fight winning streak in the promotion. This wasn't a soft introduction, it was a high-stakes litmus test for both men. From the moment the bell rang, Topuria displayed the grappling prowess he was known for on the European circuit. He closed the distance, secured a takedown with an impressive judo throw, and immediately went to work on the ground. For the entire first round, Topuria maintained dominant control, threatening with a deep guillotine and anaconda choke that looked to be the end of the night for Zalal. While the finish never came, the performance was a masterclass in ground control and submission offense. Over the course of 3 rounds, Topuria landed 5 takedowns and showcased his high-level Brazilian jiu-jitsu, repeatedly putting Zalal in precarious positions. Although Zalal managed to survive and even rally in the 3rd round as Topuria appeared to tire, it was clear who had won the contest. In the end, Topuria secured a unanimous decision victory, with all 3 judges scoring the bout 29-28. It may not have been a highlight reel knockout, but his debut was a powerful statement. It proved to the world that Ilia Topuria's grappling was as good as advertised, and that he had the well-rounded skill set to compete and dominate at the highest level. This win was the official start of a journey that would eventually lead him to the top of the featherweight division. One-punch knockout of Damon Jackson. If the UFC debut proved Ilia Topuria's ground game was a problem, his second shocking moment proved he was a threat anywhere the fight went. On December 5, 2020, at UFC on ESPN 19, Topuria stepped into the octagon against the tough and veteran-savvy Damon Jackson. At the time, Jackson was riding a 4-fight winning streak and was seen as a reliable test for any rising featherweight. He was a solid wrestler and a difficult puzzle to solve. From the opening bell, Topuria's strategy was clear. He wanted to get his hands on Jackson and make a statement. Less than 2 minutes into the first round, Topuria landed a straight right hand that sent Jackson to the canvas. In a moment that silenced the room, Ilia walked off, knowing the fight was over before the referee could even step in. The knockout was so clean, so definitive, that it left no doubt about the power in his hands. The one-punch knockout of Damon Jackson was a defining moment in Topuria's career. It was the moment he transitioned from a promising grappler into a 2-way threat, a fighter with true knockout power. This win showed that he wasn't just a submission artist, he was a finisher who could end a fight with a single, perfectly timed punch. It was a shocking, brutal display of power that put the entire featherweight division on notice. After this, no one could call him just a grappler again. The Ryan Hall shutdown. Following up on the shocking knockout of Damon Jackson, Ilia Topuria was faced with a challenge unlike any other in the featherweight division. In his next outing, at UFC 264, he was pitted against Ryan Hall, the most avoided fighter in the UFC at the time. Ryan Hall wasn't a conventional opponent, he was a submission savant, a grappling wizard whose sole focus was getting his opponents to the ground and hunting for a leg. Other fighters actively avoided him because engaging with his unorthodox style was seen as a high-risk, low-reward proposition. His victories over legends like BJ Penn proved that anyone, regardless of their striking ability, could be caught in his web of leg locks. The question on everyone's mind was whether Topuria, with his perfect record, would be foolish enough to fall into Hall's game. He did the exact opposite. From the opening bell, Topuria maintained a composed distance, refusing to be lured into Hall's signature Imanari rolls and desperate takedown attempts. He methodically picked his shots, forcing Hall to move. As Hall tried a desperate roll, Topuria expertly pivoted, staying on his feet and out of danger. He dropped a single, powerful shot, and as Hall hit the canvas, a stunned expression on his face, Ilia followed up with brutal ground and pound. The referee was forced to step in, and in less than one round, Topuria did what many thought was impossible. He not only beat Ryan Hall, he shut him down completely. This wasn't just a win, it was a masterclass in strategic intelligence and fight IQ. Topuria proved that he could neutralize a specialist and expose their one-dimensional game with a perfect blend of striking power and defensive grappling. This fight solidified his status as a legitimate threat to the division's elite, and was a shocking moment that confirmed his status as a complete mixed martial artist. Knockout of Jai Herbert after eating a head kick. Every great champion has a moment where they stare into the abyss, a moment where their undefeated record, their entire career, hangs in the balance. For Ilia Topuria, that moment came against the UK's own Jai Herbert at UFC London in 2022. The O2 Arena was electric, with a partisan crowd roaring for their hometown hero. From the very start, Herbert, with his significant reach advantage, used his kicks to control the distance. But just moments into the fight, a clean, flush head kick landed on Topuria's jaw. The shot was so powerful it sent El Matador stumbling backward, his legs doing the chicken dance as the crowd erupted. It was the first time in his professional career that he had been truly hurt, and it looked like his undefeated streak was about to come to a violent end. Herbert swarmed, trying to put him away, but Topuria's composure and heart kicked in. He survived the onslaught, took a few more shots, and managed to secure a takedown to recover. But the most shocking part of this moment was not that he survived, it was how he responded. In the very next round, Topuria came out with a newfound ferocity. He expertly closed the distance, landed a devastating left to the body that made Herbert wince and lower his guard, and then came over the top with a massive, soul-stealing right hand. The punch landed square on the jaw, instantly dropping Herbert to the canvas and rendering him unconscious.
It was a stunning comeback, a display of an iron chin and an unshakable will to win. Topuria not only proved his durability, but also showed that he could take a punch from a dangerous striker and immediately respond with a finish of his own. This knockout was a critical turning point that solidified Topuria as a top-tier contender, ready to face the elite of the division. It was a moment that put everyone on notice. You can hurt Ilia Topuria, but you cannot break him.
Becoming featherweight champion against Alexander Volkanovski, 2024. He promised it, he tattooed it, and for months he told anyone who would listen that he was going to be the next UFC featherweight champion. But his opponent, Alexander "the Great" Volkanovski, wasn't just any champion, he was a legend, a long-reigning king who had dismantled every contender put in front of him. For many, Ilia Topuria's confidence wasn't just a part of his persona, it was outright delusion. The stage was set at UFC 298. The world watched with bated breath, waiting to see if Topuria could back up his unprecedented trash talk. In the first round, it was a technical chess match. Volkanovski relied on his patented kicks and footwork, while Topuria was patient, measured, and uncharacteristically calm, waiting for his moment to strike. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He just waited. Then, in the second round, that moment came. As Volkanovski feinted and stepped in, Topuria unleashed a massive, perfectly timed straight right hand that landed flush on the jaw. Volkanovski was out before he hit the canvas. His reign as champion ended in an instant. The silence in the arena was deafening, followed by a roar of pure shock and disbelief. Ilia Topuria, the confident prospect who promised a knockout, had just dethroned one of the greatest fighters of all time. This was more than just a win. It was the final, definitive stamp on his shocking rise to superstardom. It proved that everything he had said, every bit of confidence he projected, was earned. He didn't just become a champion. He became a global superstar and the undisputed king of the featherweight division. This moment wasn't just the biggest shock in his career. It was one of the biggest shocks in the history of the sport. And there you have it. The journey of Ilia El Matador Topuria is not just a collection of victories, but a highlight reel of truly shocking, legend-defining moments. From the grappling domination in his debut to the one-punch knockout of Damon Jackson and the strategic shutdown of Ryan Hall, every fight was a statement. Then came the ultimate test, taking a devastating head kick from Jai Herbert and coming back for the knockout, proving his iron will. And finally, the promise that he had been making for months, dethroning the greatest featherweight of all time, Alexander Volkanovski, to become the new king,